Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 246 for the week of February 2nd, 2016. Already February, huh? My name is Ryan Higgins, who is here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
And Charlie West.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Ooh, last name in it now, Charlie?
Why not?
I'm like, dang, 200 and some odd episodes in, he finally does the last name.
Finally.
Yes, because people cannot identify me without it.
It's in every episode tag. So,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's close enough. We have a crap and a half load of stuff to talk about this week, so let's get right into it.
Which is funny, because as of yesterday, when you posted in our thing, little private thing saying who's in,
there wasn't much.
There wasn't nothing. Now we have like all this stuff to talk about.
Well, thank God Bryce isn't here, because this is an all DC episode, apparently.
What, like last one?
Oh, last one was half DC, but half...
You're giving Marvel way too much credit on that
Marvel
last podcast.
Well, no, about half of it was the Marvel number ones. Half of it was Bryce
Remember
yelling at me.
we took a break, and then it became
right.
all Marvel all the time?
This is true.
The back half, yeah.
The all new, all different.
We don't like to forget the back half, but... So, official and unofficial DC news all week this week, or end of last weekend, and since our last recorded episode. How about that? I woke up Friday morning to a new 52 version of the Hanna-Barbara characters that that DC is going to be releasing here. Did you guys read up on any of this?
No.
Nope, but that's... well, actually, maybe I did. Maybe I glanced at it and just assumed that it wasn't real.
Oh, no, this is all real. So Warner Brothers has owned the Hanna-Barbera characters, I believe, for quite some time. Hanna-Barbera was not part of Warner Brothers initially. It was a separate thing, but they
it was separate.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when they bought them. But DC has long since released a lot of properties involving the Hanna-Barbera characters. They've had number of. They had like a long running Scooby-Doo comic, and they've done other things. They've done a Space Ghost a few times. Yeah. So. I don't know if any of these titles are officially replacing the kids comics that are out right now. I would think not. But we have co-written and character designs by Jim Lee, written by Keith Giffen and art by Howard Porter on Scooby Apocalypse, a modern day take on Scooby-Doo and his gang.
In the Walking Dead universe.
In a universe where monsters are really real. They're not just people. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe a little Afterlife with Archie, more so than Walking Dead. So, of all of them, this is the one that to me is a little like, oh, okay. But here's the thing. Scooby-Doo's always been popular. They've rebooted it so many times.
Scooby-Doo's always had a following. I mean, you see it all the time. It's been rebooted. They keep revamping it. They keep coming out with new stuff.
Right.
It's not turning out a ton of stuff, and there's not too much merchandising around it, but it's still,
this new cartoon's been real popular,
yeah.
So...
Well, I haven't really seen anything in, like, when I go to this, like, Target or Toys R Us.
There's always Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo of all the stuff has always been the most popular, so, getting a new take on Scooby-Doo is not too shocking.
He's going to get new 52'd?
Yeah, so they all are in some fashion here.
But aren't we done with the new 52?
Well, you know what I mean.
So they're getting rebirthed.
Sure, close enough. We have a title called Future Quest, starring all of Hanna-Barbera's action characters, including Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, my personal favorite, the motherfucking Herculoids.
The Herculoids. I tracked down those toys for your ass.
Yeah. Birdman, Midor the Mighty, and Frankenstein Jr., which is kind of a weird one. That's more of like a comedy. If I'm remembering the original cartoon, it was more comedic. So I don't know why they're in there. So that's all under Future Quest by Jeff Parker and Evan Doc Shaner. So they did the most recent Flash Gordon reboot, and Jeff Parker did he did all the Batman 66 stuff, and he's done Agents of Atlas. So another one that's very exciting is Wacky Raceland, a gritty reboot, literally a gritty reboot of Wacky Races. Again, one of my absolute favorite Hanna-Barbera things. Wacky Races is when they take all the different characters from all the different shows, put them in different cars, and they drive across the country, getting into fights, and it's a big race. It's like, Cannonball Run and all that stuff. So
I'm just picturing some of the various video games where like cars blow up other cars and just applying that to Wacky Races.
Well, that's exactly what it is, because This is Wacky Races via Mad Max Fury Road. It is animation writer Ken Pontac, artist Leonardo Manco, who's done some really good work, and all the vehicle designs are by Mark Sexton, who worked on Fury Road.
Oh, okay.
So and did a lot of and yeah, it looks very the cars were all sentient cars, but then the drivers are like driving the cars around, and I don't know if it's going to star a lot of the Actually, I take that back. It says it's going to star Dick Dastardly, Penelope Pistol, the Anthill Mob, and more, which are, those are like some of the bad guys in Wacky Races, okay. So that's fantastic. And finally, Amanda Conner is relaunching the Flintstones with all new Fred, Wilma, Barney, Betty, with Prez writer Mark Russell writing that. No interior artist labeled, but she's doing the designs and doing the character designs, which I don't know what the Flintstones what you're gonna do in like a modern Flintstones, especially a comic. Just I don't know. I hope it's amazing. Prez has been so good.
I know what they're gonna do. You ready?
What's that?
Real Housewives of the Stone Age.
Oh, I'm hoping it's less. I'm gonna call someone on my eye stone, or something like. I hope it's less. No, the Flintstones is always very punny, and kind of parodying modern stuff of the 60s with, Stone Age stuff. So I hope it's less. Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing with the Jetsons?
No. Oh, and Bam Bam's in it too, so that's good. I
want a Legion Jetsons crossover. That's what I want.
That'd be great. I am legit interested in the Mad Max
Wacky Road.
Wacky Road, yeah. And we'll call it Wacky Road. I like that better. And Future Quest. I'm actually excited for Future Quest because the potential with Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Herculoids, those are great characters. Yeah. Birdman, Might Over the Mighty, Frankenstein Jr. I could care less about, but those other characters are legitimately cool characters. And that is Joe Kelly that did that really good Space Ghost miniseries for DC about, I want to say 8 years ago, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. I think it was Joe Kelly. And
I don't remember. The art on it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was all the Alex Ross variant covers.
He did like the covers, yeah. Alex Ross did the covers, yeah. So I am excited for this. You guys? No? Yes?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Oh, as you already kind of said, not all of these, but a lot of these characters have gone through a revamp in one form or another in comics or even on TV. So I'm very interested to check it out, but I'm also wondering how tied together a lot of these may or may not be.
I assume they're all completely independent of each other. It would be smart for these to be just very individual titles.
Yeah.
Herculoids! Herculoids back in comic form. Yes! God, I love the Herculoids. They're so great.
Are we podcasting with a grown man or a child?
You fucking don't know my love of the Herculoids? What's wrong with you?
I know your love of the Herculoids. When I told you I tracked down those toys that you're missing, you freaked out on the phone.
It's good stuff.
Well, to me, it's like anything else. We all have attachments to the things that we were really into as kids.
Yep.
And then you rewatch He-Man and realize
it's not that great.
There's a reason why I learned not to go back and rewatch most stuff that I watched as a kid. There's a few exceptions that are still watchable, but only a few.
So much like last week, we don't have a lot of answers for you this week about DC Rebirth.
And Stefano didn't send us a buttload of questions.
I still have some from him that we didn't read. I skipped probably maybe half of them because there was just more questions that we could possibly answer in an episode. However, thank Mysterious Writer X, who wrote into Bleeding Cool today and gave him all sorts of juicy tidbits of what's coming up with the DC Rebirth.
Mr. X.
We have potentially a lot more details than we did last week. Again, rumors, but these things tend to be pretty on the money. Yeah. So I'm not going to start my orders up yet, but this will give you some idea.
Yeah.
We're going to go through this kind of chronologically here as they were posted. It's the easiest way because I don't actually do notes. So we have schedules of Batman and at least Superman shipping bi-monthly, meaning twice a month. Mm-hmm. So they're double up the issues. Probably we will have less actual comics on the shelf within a given month, so less physical titles, but I expect a number of titles will be double shipped, which they've had very good success with Batman and Robin Eternal and Batman Eternal. Future's End, New 52, and the World's End, both of those were successful enough in their own regards. I mean, you have, a weekly series that's selling 20, 30,000 copies. That's, at this point, if you look, that's still like middle of the hundreds charts. Yeah. That's a good seller. And if they can double ship Batman, double ship Superman, maybe double ship Justice League, they have the potential for some.
The only thing I'm curious on that is, where is Superman in the sales charts in like the last 5 years or so?
Last 5 years all over the place, but pretty low. I mean, if you give me a second, I can look it up.
Because it just seems to me like double shipping something that they haven't got a good. Because going to the double shipping with like Batman Eternal was a no-brainer. They kind of brought in Snyder to oversee it, but it just seems like a no-brainer to try and make a comic that's already selling well work.
Yeah.
On like more
Batman,
regular schedule.
Batman sells very well, so it's going to go bi-weekly. Justice League.
The Batman Eternals are around issue 50, roughly, on the sales charts, and they're selling about 40,000 copies an issue, which is very good. Issue 46 of Superman, which is November, sold 41,000. So that's, Action's probably a little bit lower. Action's at issue number 70, selling 35,000. So if you can keep that number or bump it up, because again, you have to assume the second issue of Batman is going to replace, Black Canary and Batwoman. So if you have two books that are selling 15,000 copies and one book selling 30, 40,000 copies twice a month, that's much, sales-wise at least, that's much better. I'm slightly worried about the diversity of DC coming out of Rebirth, but they got to get some good selling books first.
Come on, you already covered the diversity with all the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Well, that's true. Now, Shaggy is literally a stoner. He's not just he's a stoner, but you just don't know it. No, he's like, yeah.
He blazes?
Yeah, it looks like it. So we have he's got some fucking asshole goatee and mustache, some fucking douchebag goatee and mustache hipster bullshit going on. Yeah. And
I love how you look at me when you talk about facial hair.
I'm talking to you, so I'm looking to. And what's her name?
Evil Charlie over here you won't look at.
What's the one with the glasses? I can't remember her name.
Violet?
Thelma.
Huh? That's it.
Velma?
No.
Yeah.
She looks like Maz Kanata from Star Wars, from Force Awakens. She's like very tiny and has like big bug glasses and everything. So there's new information we have about the New 52 here. About Rebirth. Sorry, is that in June we are not actually getting necessarily issue number ones of all these new titles. We are getting Rebirth issue number 1. So Batman Rebirth number 1, Superman Rebirth number 1, Justice League Rebirth number 1. To be followed either in the back half of June if it's a double shipping title, or in July with their actual number 1 issue. So that a little bit of staggering there staggers it out, assuming it's
it's
40 titles.
It's a one-shot buffer month.
Yeah, it'll split it out over 7 weeks or 6 or 7 weeks instead of having it in 4 weeks, which is probably a smart move.
And now with double number 1 issue variants by doing it this way.
Yeah, well, right. You get the number 1 Rebirth issue and then the number 1 after. So they're like, boom, number 1, boom, number 1. Yeah. I think it'd be tough to do the New 52 today. Marvel tried. It definitely worked very good, but sales were so tough. My only concern when you double ship these books like this is FOC. We're basically ordering 1 and 2 blind. When you order 2, you're ordering 2 and 3. You're ordering 3 blind. So you're always kind of having to cut a little lower because you're adjusting your order for issue 2 before number 1 ships. You're adjusting your order for number 3 before number 2 ships. So that will cause myself and many other store owners to probably cut closer than we might have. Because again, Batman and Robin Eternal, after the first month or two, it took a pretty steep dive and we lost a good, maybe 15 to 20% of our readers on the book. It still sells very well, but it went from much higher to a very stable number, which it's been at for the last few months. And so I have 3 or 4 issues in a row where I have way too many copies of. Had that been on a monthly title, I would only have 1 issue where I overordered. So having Batman, Superman, and other titles being double shipped like that, that's...
Now, if they do returnability?
If they do returns for the first, let's say, 2 months, so issues 1 through 4, perfect. Because by that point, I believe I will have a very good grasp of what's going to sell.
Well, that'll make you feel more comfortable about placing fair, just not necessarily cutting, but at least placing orders where you're like, I can try.
Well, comic companies want you to order more, but the last thing a comic company wants you to do is go out of business. Yeah. Because there go all your people. We have actually some South Bay specific news here. Legends, which is a mall store here, a popular mall store, which is moving to a new location. Has the mall closed yet?
No.
It's something. It's going to be soon, and they still haven't even started moving. So I don't know what's going on with that shop. And
from what I was told last time I happened to walk in there, they said the end of February. So
okay. Well, and we also have Lee's here in San Mateo. They're closing their store in San Mateo.
Yeah, that shocked me. Lee's has been
a long time
staple forever.
They have their other bigger stores in Mountain View.
Yeah, but
there is not a comic store, as far as I know, between Mountain View and San Francisco. Is there any comic stores up there?
I have no clue, but going back in time as a child, I remember starting way in that area and like bus route on El Camino down this way, hitting like every shop, filling in like certain collections and stuff. So there used to be a couple up there that I'd hit.
Maybe there's one that I don't know of, but I
haven't had to do anything like that in a very long time.
Yeah. Well, we got some double shipping books here from DC. So let's find out what these books are. We've been given all sorts of titles, all sorts of creators. Some of them might even be true. I called this. I said I wanted this to happen, and lo and behold, it's happening. Rumoredly. The rumor is rumoredly. Is that a word?
Oh, God.
Tom King, my current number 1 guy, getting the big bump up to Batman, taking over for Scott Snyder. Tom King writing Batman bi-weekly. Again, rumor. We don't know. None of this is for sure. But that is a fantastic call. DC needs to lock this guy in. He's the best new talent writing comics for Marvel and DC these days. Get this guy on board. He's been writing Grayson, Omega Men, Vision, obviously, Sheriff of Babylon for Vertigo. All fantastic titles. Get this guy locked in. Yay? Nay?
I'm all for it.
Good replacement for Snyder, I mean.
See, I still kind of fall under the fence of I'm hoping his stories are different from Snyder's, because don't get me wrong, I like Snyder, but I realized that it's been a long time since I've read something that felt like a more traditional Batman story.
Well, I think we're going to get a little bit of that, and I think we'll talk about some of these more traditional stories here shortly as more of these titles and cancellations start popping up. Because we have a number of titles getting canceled. Obviously, everything's getting canceled in some fashion, but Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Grayson, Starfire, Black Canary, Midnighter, and Dr. Fate. Canceled and not to be continued post Rebirth is the rumor. Now, these titles, along with probably a handful of others, but why these titles specifically? Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman will be turning into a new book called Trinity, featuring Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Very smart move. Very much in line with Batman v Superman, using the 3 of them in the main role. Grayson will be replaced with Nightwing.
Yeah, that was my assumption.
I like the Grayson book a lot, but we've had a year and a half of going on almost 2 years if you count Forever Evil of Dick Grayson, Super Spy. It's been a great run. I've really enjoyed it, but Rebirth, back to Nightwing, and maybe Toby. Maybe we'll make Toby happy, and back to Blue as well.
If we had to start putting money on it now, I would be willing to put money down on the fact that they would go back to Blue at this point.
It's possible. Starfire ending because she will be replaced with a Titans comic. As the Titans Hunt series that's going on right now is all about them going, oh, wait, we forgot the Teen Titans always existed and have always been around. We just forgot. I hate
it when that happens.
Well, hopefully, when that happens, they'll just be able to brush it under the rug and be like, all right, so like we said, the Teen Titans have always existed in all its various fashions, and Starfire got hit in the head at the beginning of Red Hood and the Outlaws #1, and that's why she just doesn't remember, and we're just going to pretend none of this ever happened. Let's just move on from that. Remember how Jeff Johns, when he relaunched Teen Titans, was like, yeah, let's just shove all that shit to the corner? That's what I want some of this to happen with Rebirth. Black Canary, good title. Why is it ending? Birds of Prey book coming back. Who do you think's writing Birds of Prey? They're not stupid.
They better not be stupid.
It's Gail fucking Simone, 100. Not even a question. The fact that there's a Birds of Prey comic coming out, and she's been talking about the Birds of Prey so much on Twitter, 100% guarantee. My money, Gail Simone, no question. That's a huge sell. DC's stupid for not having her do this at the launch of the New 52. I understand they want to do something a little bit different, but no, it's going to happen.
So do you think Oracle will be back if that's the case?
Don't know. I like Oracle. I really like Batgirl though. I'm kind of either. I'm either way. Doesn't matter to me either way. I like both characters in different reasons. I like Oracle a lot, but I like Batgirl a lot too.
Well, depending on what they do.
I wish we had a comic featuring Batgirl right now. So
yeah, that would be nice.
Sorry, Brock, I don't mean to spit out your water.
I know, and it was carbonated. That was the worst part. Oh, yeah. There's no Batgirl book right now.
Yeah,
that's okay. There's some lovely trades from the New 52, though.
Midnighter, fantastic title. You know what would be even better? A New Authority comic. That's really good. I was going to say, as long as it's really good, yes, but they haven't had a great track run recently every time they've tried that. That's why you just get, was it Joe Orlando? It's doing Midnighter, right?
Steve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Steve Orlando.
Steve Orlando. Yeah. Sorry, not Joe Orlando. Steve Orlando is doing Midnighter. Put him right into an Authority book. Sounds good to me. And Dr. Fate. That's a big, that's a little title, but there's a lot of rumors that a big title is going to be replacing Dr. Fate, and that is much in the line of Titans Hunt, where they just kind of forgot that the Teen Titans ever existed, but now we all remember. Earth 2, Earth 2 is a thing, and that's their version of the Justice League, but what about the Justice Society of America? Oh yeah, we forgot the Justice Society was here all along, they existed back in the 40s, and because Legends of Tomorrow is totally going to tie in with the Justice Society because of all these new promo shots they're showing, we totally forgot the Justice Society was part of New 52 Earth all along, and we just forgot, and now they're back, and Justice Society is coming back. So one of the big titles coming back as part of Rebirth. Again, rumored. I want to stress that.
No, I'm
Justice
just having
Society.
fun going. I could totally see Jeff Johns just sitting back being like, what comics do I want back? I just have to get them on TV.
Yeah,
if I can get them on TV, then the comics will come back.
Exactly right. And with Justice Society coming back, that brings back, in my mind, another great thing that we lost when we went over the New 52. I like the Earth 2 comic, but I mean, again, it's kind of like Oracle and Batgirl. I like both. It is the original concept that they're from another dimension, they're from another Earth, but it worked so well in the later half of the post-crisis universe. It was during the Johns run, so I love the JSA. And
they can host dinners together and everything.
And it has been suggested to me by parties unknown that the JSA is actually kind of the big book coming out of this. Like it's kind of a major launching point, and that everything that's wrong.
So Johns is off of Justice League and on JSA,
and a lot of the stuff that's kind of wrong is because of the JSA disappearing, and now that they're back, everything's back to the way we wanted it. Yay! And if it's a big event book, you know who's doing that. And Johns he's been screaming for a JSA book basically since the New 52 started, and he's been talking again online about wanting to do one. If he's leaving Justice League and going to JSA, I'm okay with that. I love Justice League, but if he's taking...
Is it wrong for me to just want him to do both?
Well, Well, they keep saying, "Oh, we're going to do the JSA again, and then we're going to have a JLA JSA crossover," and then they do it once, and then they forget that they write 12 comics a year, but 12 comics is actually only 2 stories. It's not 12 stories the way it used to be. So you can't have you can't have a JLA JSA crossover every year. It would be every other story arc would be a JLA JSA crossover. So it never happens.
Hey, once a year they can do the Thanksgiving issue or whatnot, and
Where they host one of those parties.
But see that doesn't make sense because every other story arc would be Thanksgiving.
Of course.
That JLA JSA Virtue and Vice graphic novel, very good. One of my favorites. So if we have a Teen Titans, we need people to be on this Teen Titans. Who was definitely one of the most popular characters on the Teen Titans before the relaunch? 'Cause Teen Titans went through some shit, but kind of got really good right before the relaunch. Who was on the Teen Titans? Come on, guys.
See, I already know who you're talking about, but that's because I saw the same thing you're looking at right now.
Come on.
It feels like cheating.
Yeah, who was on the Teen Titans right before the relaunch?
You told me earlier.
Who was it?
Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne heading up to Teen Titans as Robin. I am 100% okay with that. Yes. Morrison's not writing it, so we won't do that as often. I am totally down with Damian running that, though. I do love me some Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne.
That sounds bad.
A couple other titles
On so many levels.
rumored to come out here. The Superman. 3 words. No idea what that could be about. There was an old story pre-Superman that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster did called Reign of the Supermen, which is the Superman, which is a horror, not horror, like a villainy science fiction story, and this has been reprinted a bunch of times. No idea if it's any relation to that or just maybe a mistype or I don't know. Superman Man of Steel, because there's a movie called Superman Man of Steel, so it makes sense that they would have a comic book also called Man of Steel. New Green Lantern starring Jessica Cruz, who's the power ring that's been flying around. What happened to
Boz?
What's his bucket?
Baz?
Yeah, Baz.
He's with the Corps.
But he's like...
Yeah, he's just with the Corps.
He's like not even... Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, now he exists in the background of panels sometimes.
I was a big deal for about a year.
Yeah.
Every once in a while they will acknowledge, he was the one Green Lantern allowed on Earth for a while, and but yeah, they literally do nothing with him other than have him make a cameo every once in a while.
Another title is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps.
That sounds dumb.
Well, I don't know.
Sounds like a bad band you go to see.
Well, I don't know why Hal Jordan is separated from the Green Lantern Corps. All the rumor is that there's going to be a Green Lantern Corps movie, so maybe they want something with that. Maybe Hal... I think you get Hal back to normal. I don't know why he'd lose the ring, but...
I guess my whole thing with that is I just want him to be a normal Green Lantern again, not in charge, not just...
Yes. Well, we have it. It's called Justice League.
I
Justice
know.
League America, where he's normal-ass Green Lantern.
I know, it's very nice.
It's great. It's like... The Green Lantern in Justice League is like most of the characters in Justice League is like the New 52 never happened right now. It is just normal ass versions of all the characters.
They just have different costumes.
But even the Green Lantern one, it just looks like his Rebirth costume. He's got the symbol that pops out and everything. It's like they're not even trying to draw like the New 52 anymore. I guess Johns is the one guy that was allowed to not.
Just to say fuck you.
Yeah, to just do whatever he wants.
Deal with it. This is what I want.
So if Tom King's writing Batman, rumor is Peter Tomasi, one of my favorite writers at DC, has been doing some really good work. He's going to be taking over Superman, which is good. He's been doing Superman, Wonder Woman, and he's doing this like Superman action, Superman, Wonder Woman like crossover thing that's kind of the wrapping up the arc. So I'm going to be getting a little more Superman under his belt before he takes over. He is, I think, a very underrated writer.
Tomasi's
he's
great.
solid.
His stuff he was doing concurrently with Morrison on Batman was awesome. All his Batman and Robin run was great.
Well, he was doing Green Lantern Corps with Johns.
Corps was great, yeah. It's like he's never given the number one spot, but he is like that solid, partner. He's everything he does has been so good, right along with the the big name guys.
Yeah, no, he makes the books in he makes the lower tier books in the family worth being called like a companion book. Like you pick up Batman, well, you should probably also pick up Batman and Robin. You know, you pick up Green Lantern, you should also pick up Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Right? It makes it...
It's a little bit like Chuck Dixon was in the 90s, where he was never doing Batman, but he did everything else, and they were all fantastic. Somewhere in that same realm, because I think his stuff is so good. Let's see. We got Trinity. We talked about that. And the last little bit here from Bleeding Cool, again, rumor,
Mr. X,
is that some people are being told this is not a reboot. We're going to continue the plots, but things are changing. So, hey, other people are being told, reboot all you want. We're starting everything over from scratch. So, we know nothing. We knew nothing before. We still know nothing. But my hope is, again, reboot what needs to be rebooted.
Yeah.
Keep what works. Keep what's good. And just go from there.
Well, I mean, it's trimming the fat, right?
Bringing
quality to the top. You know, giving readers and fans and all that stuff something that they want to come back every month and pick up, or twice a month in some cases. Because, you know, Snyder going over to detective is great, right? He's still doing a Batman book. That's where he kind of started with Batman.
He's just transitioning to the other title so they can make the other like that. It's not even they're renaming Batman to Detective and renaming Detective to Batman, and that's all they're doing.
But the thing is you know, you got to trim it down. You got to get rid of things that aren't working. But at the same time, you know, double shipping big titles like Batman and Superman, well, not really Superman, but like Batman and Justice League, or titles that are going like potentially have potential to be big. Those now are shipped double so that they can support necessarily the lower numbers of titles that aren't necessarily...
Yeah, I mean, that was always the theory, but these days, unfortunately, it's just every book has to survive on its own, which does suck.
Yeah. Well, I guess my mentality on it is double shipping is great and wonderful in theory as long as you keep the quality up. So as long as I can keep a good quality book coming out, I have no problem. Like... Some things I think really do well double shipping, and like I'm always excited to see the new issue, and then other things I'm like, I fucking read that like last week. Why do I have to read another one?
Well, I just started reading through Extraordinary X-Men, and I was like, wait, what? 6 issues are out? What? Really? Yeah. Jesus.
Isn't issue 7 of Iron Man out tomorrow?
I think so. 7 or 8 or something crazy. Yeah. Hauling some ass on those titles.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's good, it's good. So anything, what do you guys, well, we have some questions, but...
Was there any rumored creative team on that Hal Jordan book?
No. Okay. No. Most of these have no... Batman and Superman, I think, were the only actually rumored
They're bringing
teams.
Adam Glass back to do Suicide Squad, right?
No, they're going to get 19 other people to do it over the next 21 issues.
Fucking idiots.
That's they need a solid squad creative team, yeah.
And the art needs to be... spot on. You need to have a good backup artist for that. You need to have...
Well, everything needs to have a solid team. It's really frustrating. If you ever check out on Bleeding Cool, they always do this, because we get updates on, we're changing some creative teams around. But it's like, man, DC every week has like, we've replaced this artist with 19 other artists. It's like, why? Every week, there's something. Usually a lot of something. Yeah.
Well, Swamp Thing's transition from Snyder to Soul was perfect, and then from Patrick to South, was it the artist?
I don't remember who was doing the art in the back end.
It wasn't that bad of a transition. Like it you know, you knew it was a different artist, but it still felt the same. Like Swamp Thing stayed fairly consistent. The only time it was weird was Rot World. I think there was like one issue of Rot World where it was like not the same.
I mean, fill-ins happen. I'm fine with fill-ins, but when you have no stable creative, when you have no stable artistic team, that's really hard.
Yeah.
So is there anything, because I do have a question here. Let me see if I can find it. This is from Marco on Twitter. He says, pick one dream team character and creative team that you'd love to see come out of Rebirth. Now, it's not just, oh, I want Snyder on Swamp Thing. Oh, I want Jeff Johns on Green Lantern. Like, not that. It's something that that hasn't happened.
I want Nick Spencer on.
No, actually, it's funny. I get the exact same question from Larry's Comics. Same thing. So, what are your dream DC titles and creative teams?
I would like to see Nick Spencer come over and do a Blue and Gold book.
That's a fantastic idea. Nick Spencer doing a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle title is maybe the best idea. It's maybe the greatest words you've ever said. That's a fan-fucking-tastic idea.
That is.
Occasionally I have gems.
It's been 246. 246 episodes, and Brock finally pays off.
Smart.
Yep. All right, good.
Yay.
Mark that on your calendar. That's good. That's a very good choice.
I mean, it's just the way his writing on Ant-Man, his writing on Superior Foes, which the oversized or the omnibus is out tomorrow.
Yep.
Which I picked up and I'm going to check out. He's a great fit for that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the dynamic of Ted Cord and Booster Gold or Michael. What is his name? Michael. What the hell's his real name?
Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Man, I'm drawing a blank.
Isn't it Michael something?
Michael something.
Charlie?
They never call him by his name.
Yeah, they do.
Barely. Man, I'm totally drawing a blank of what his last name is. Wow. It is Michael, though. That's funny. Oh, Michael John. Oh, yeah. It's Michael John Carter. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, Michael John Carter.
It's play on John Carter. Yeah.
If I was going to sort of, just for the fun of it, put a creative team together, I'd kind of like to see Paul Miotti on Suicide Squad.
I can see that. He's done more serious work in the past.
I don't want to say Jonah Hex the Suicide Squad, but I could kind of see how he could make that work.
Yeah, he
very,
could.
Very well.
He could do a good job. And I mean, Suicide, like even Jonah Hex, even though it had different kind of artists, it still felt good because it had kind of a tone to it.
Yeah.
Which is something that Suicide Squad hasn't really had. It's been up and down and all over the place.
Well, part of the reason why I think he could do a very good job on Suicide Squad is Jonah Hex was very much in the things get fucked up, things don't go exactly right.
I got your next book when we're done.
I think he could handle a Suicide Squad book perfectly, actually.
You ready? DC needs to pull their head out of their asses and get Charles Soule back and have him on a Manhunter title.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Hopefully when he comes back from Marvel, he washes whatever gunk he got on himself over there.
Whatever Terrigen Mist they sprayed him with.
I just am not digging anything he's doing.
No, his Marvel stuff. I mean, She-Hulk was okay, but yeah, his Marvel stuff is. I don't know. It seems like he doesn't have the freedom he had when he was on Swamp Thing, and
I'm just having the fun of going, is this just the return of my age-old theory of, I was, at one point I'm like, so what did DC do? Just send Loeb over there to ruin Marvel? And then that wore off, so hey, Soul, do you want to go?
But Soul was doing really, Soul didn't have a traumatic event.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, I'd love to see Jonah Hex back, but you just have to throw Palmiotti and Gray on it. You can't put anything else.
That's why I didn't name it, is because I don't mind.
I got a great one. I got a great one. You can either call it Batgirl or Oracle, but have Gail Simone write it.
Yeah, that's kind of bring it back. Oh, there was actually one other story that I forgot to talk about. I don't think it has anything to do with Rebirth necessarily, maybe a Vertigo Rebirth, but there is also a rumor that Neil Gaiman will be returning to DC, not necessarily to write new Sandman stuff, but to kind of oversee a new line of Sandman spin-off titles. That could be Vertigo, that could be DC as well. They could do that in either place. Potentially,
they could do it in both.
Well, they have the Lucifer comic that brought back. Potentially, you could get a new take on the Dreaming. You could get a Canon Able. Mm-hmm. You could get any of the Endless. I'd be assuming the new creative teams are kind of handpicked by Gaiman and approved. I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Speaking of Lucifer, have you watched that show yet?
Watched the first episode. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's dark, a little sexy, a little funny. Not the comic in any fashion, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
No, I thought they did a good job, and I like the way they're kind of building it up so far.
You know what? Man, I'm thinking, no, like, killer creative team is jumping out to me. I mean, I could just say Jeff Johns on JSA, right? But I think that's going to happen. Yeah, there's a lot of people like the B slot. I mean, and honestly,
how about Ethan Van Sciver on Plastic Man?
He's pitched that for years. I mean, I don't think it'll ever happen, but I don't know, it might.
Like who is? You know what? I want to see Elastic Man and Sue did like the detective stuff.
Yeah,
like I'd like to see that. I mean, I don't know who would you get to write that though.
I don't know.
What's Bucoletto doing right now?
Is he still doing Flash? No, that's. I'm sorry, that's Vendetti.
No, he went to detective after that, but
yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing. He's probably working on something new. You know, it's. I mean, honestly, John's on JS. I hate to go against my own rules, but John's on JSA and King on Batman is what I wanted and apparently what we're getting. So,
well, they need to put Tom Taylor on something. He did a great job with Earth 2.
He's doing the Green Lantern one. I could see him. He's doing Edge of Darkness, Edge of Oblivion. Yeah,
I haven't read it yet, but
yeah, I could see him sticking on JSA JSA and Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for our big-ish news for this week. Let's get to a few.
So
questions.
DC, you have the titles we want to see.
Yeah,
you have our list.
They do.
I had to step away for a second, but did anyone mention they wanted the Merv comic, Pumpkinhead?
No, but they very well could. Yeah, I mean, him and Lucian would kind of run the.
I just
Dreaming.
hope they. Well, I don't know if is it going to be the Dreaming? Is it going to be House of Secrets? Is it going to be House of Mystery?
Well, right. It could be nothing. It could be anything. I have no clue. But I would love a sort of Neil Gaiman crafted DC little section.
Yeah,
and that could be where the new Justice League Dark shows up. That could be that kind of Dark. What was the movie? Dark Universe or something that they were going to call the Justice League Dark movie. You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember, but nothing's ever come of that, so who knows? I don't know.
Oh, they're always threatening to do a TV show or a movie out of Justice League Dark.
So I can't wait until tomorrow morning after I posted this podcast where the official solicitations for all the Rebirth stuff comes out, and none of this is true.
Or all of it is true. And you tweet at me going, Brock, they did it. They finally did something.
So let's ask a couple questions here. We're going from Mitchell.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. He says...
Well, there's two ways I can say hey to Mitch.
I know.
There's one way that we used to do at the club that's pretty scary.
Well, you got your shirt, so you can do it however you want.
What's up, Mitch?
He says, how verbal do you want the Hulk to be in the next Thor movie? That's a rumor that's been going around that Hulk's going to be a big part of the next Thor movie. I don't know if I like that. I mean, it could be cool.
Hulk, I think, has had a difficult time in the cinematic universe.
A car is driving away without his lights on with a bunch of filled trash bags on the back of the car. That's very interesting. Maybe they're driving to the trash in the back of the store, but that seems very lazy. I hope they don't spill the trash everywhere. Go ahead, Brock. Sorry.
What the fuck?
I just watched this car pull out with 5 trash bags on the back of its on its trunk. Pull out. No lights on either. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Hulk, yeah. It's Hulk in the cinematic universe has had a tough time because of the first Hulk movie, and then you have the Incredible Hulk, the second movie, and there are characteristics in each movie that are good, but there are also characteristics in each movie that are not so good. Mm-hmm. And then what's his name? Why am I blanking on the actor's name?
You're talking about Ruffalo?
Ruffalo, yeah. Mark Ruffalo. He did an amazing job revitalizing kind of this character in Avengers and Age of Ultron. And everyone's screaming for an independent, a solo movie with Ruffalo.
That's tough, though.
But I think that they're scared because of what's going on before. So them going, well, we can throw him in Thor. Again, like your trash bags, I think it's a kind of a lazy decision.
Well, actually...
There's other stuff why he can't have a solo movie.
Oh, yeah.
They don't own...
see the Thor paving the way for Planet Hulk, actually.
Well, there's... I don't know all the specifics. I'd have to look it up. But there is... Is it Paramount? Who distributed the first Hulk movie?
That was Universal.
Was it Universal? that they have some claim to it. I don't know if maybe that's all been resolved, but I remember that being maybe a reason why they didn't do more solo Hulk films. But I mean, maybe that's all taken care of.
I mean, either way, my understanding is it's not so much of a claim. It's not like the Fox or the Sony kind of claim. It's more like the distribution or something.
Right.
Damn distributors.
But
I hate
any
those
event,
guys.
I'm just thinking because they've already kind of established Asgard and being able to play with the not multiverse, but the different realms and different planets and all that, they could tweak with the Hulk's intellect in that and then abandon him on a planet to go into Planet Hulk.
Yeah. So Stefano asks, thoughts? Only one question.
Okay, I mean, nothing against you, Stefano. It's great. We loved having all that stuff, but
he asked, based on the recent Rebirth rumors, how do you feel, or how fluid? How do you feel? Let me rephrase this. How do you feel about how fluid this event seems to still be? Basically, is this like it's fairly soon that it's going to happen? We still don't know anything about it. Actual facts. We don't know anything with a lot of rumors, but no actual facts. Is this just let's just do it and no plan, no thought, or do we think that actually this has been in the works for a while? So
my take on this, honestly, I have a hard time calling this an event when I kind of think it's just the new normal.
Events are the new normal?
Well, not even necessarily like events, but we're going to take things to a certain point and then relaunch it number one and drum up the interest. Then like all the companies, well, not all the big two especially seem to sort of talk about these sort of cycles that they go in and relaunch and how comics are moving to more like television seasonality and
which I hate.
Yeah. Well, but it seems to be the direction the companies are taking it, and I don't like it, but it seems like it's hard to call this an event just because I consider it sort of the new normal. We reached this point where we've decided to change some stuff up and relaunch it number one and go forward. And
well, do we get a 4-year cycle where roughly every 50 issues we relaunch?
At this point, I'd say yes.
I mean, I think I'm comfortable with something like that, right? It's kind of a set amount of time. If you're going into it with the intent that you're going to do these quote unquote TV season things, but you're giving it 4 years, it's like you have 4 years to tell your Batman story, right? So the next thing
if you have 7 creative teams in that 4-year time period, that's the problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you need to have consistency, and you need to have these things need to. I mean, if they die out on their own, they die out on their own. But you need to be pushing, really hard to have quality creative teams that are going to last. For I mean, I don't care if King does the first 2 story arcs on Batman and then somebody comes in to do like a 2-issue fill-in and then he picks it back up again. I don't mind kind of something like that, but you need to have kind of this, you need to have a longer period of time to invest in these things because, I mean, yes, they come out every month, but stories in comic books have to take time to unfold, and you need to get good storytellers in there that can do that over a long period of time, like Johns and
well, and if you think of 4 years in comics now is like 16 years the way comics used to be. So it's 4 years is 8 story arcs. That's not that much.
Yeah. No,
but that's the thing is I mean, if you have a team, a good solid creative team that has a good direction, that has good editors, that's everybody's on board trying to for aiming this in the right direction, and it does well, great. Issue 50 comes around, if it's still doing well, let it go. If it's not, start it over. But it needs to be a longer commitment because we've seen over at Marvel, I mean, we cycled through new Marvel titles in the past 3 times in the past 2 years.
I mean, for some of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's
twice in the past 12 months.
Yeah.
For some of them. Yeah.
And that's the thing is that doesn't give a book really enough time to kind of
not at all.
to give a good foothold, and it honestly pushes people more to the spectrum of, oh, this is a great jumping off point for this title.
Well, I think
versus jumping on.
Well, I think in general, with the way Marvel did it, is the jumping off point is a little blurred, because I kind of feel like somebody who is reading and enjoying Silk doesn't see this new #1 as a different series at all. So I think you're right. In some cases, stuff becomes a really good jumping off point, but I think in other cases, it's just like,
all right, they did a miniseries, and I'm on the next one.
Yeah.
That's why I sometimes think numbering is completely irrelevant, and it should just be labeled January 2016, February 2016, early March 2016, late March 2016.
And for the late books that ship, you can do the June/February.
June/February. That's a very late shipping book.
No, the January/February.
Okay. I was like June/February. Jesus. You got a question here from...
we've all seen books that did get that delayed.
Yeah, absolutely. Question here from Indie Gator on Twitter. He actually... I feel like I've answered this question before, but we'll do it again. He says, which is worse, a great writer on a poorly drawn book or a great artist on a poorly written book? And give examples of each.
Oh, we've had this question before.
My answer is always, I prefer a well-written book over a well-drawn book. I like art, but I'm there for the story 99% of the time. I deal with shitty art all the time in comics. It definitely affects the story. Great art and great story is the best. There's a lot of talk of this on Twitter recently. A lot of comic creators getting involved in this discussion. It is a 50-50 thing. I just prefer the writing to the art, but you can't do it without both. So, as far as an example, I mean, good writing, bad art. Fuck. There's so many examples I can't even name any.
So to me, it's writing all together, and I have more of an example of good art, bad writing with the All-Star Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because I read all those issues once, I enjoyed the art once, and I can't go back to even open up or read those books now, and I know I can't. So
yeah, I mean, I think for me, a good example of I prefer the writing, but art. I'm probably more 75% writing, 25% art. It was when Johns was writing Superman, and it was Romita Jr.
Yeah, that's an example of I really like that story, but the art
just it was.
I look at it and think, man, what if Jason Fabok was drawing this? It would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I look at it and go, is this a Thor book?
It would be more serious.
Yeah.
Because John Romita Jr., his art, I look at it and I'm thinking, this is super cartoony. This is like a joke. I don't like this. Nothing about it makes me enjoy it.
Yeah. I think having a good combination is key. I mean, you have to have, a writer that works well with an artist and an artist that works well with a writer. And, you striving to have that on a book, and consistency on a book is what they need to do. But yeah, there's times where I'm just like, the art can kill my enjoyment of the story.
Well, and I mean, just to really hit the point home in terms of having both, most of the best books that stay in print because they nailed both. Mm-hmm. They had great writing on a well-drawn story, and they never go out of print that way.
Got another question here from Timothy. Says, do you guys carry any artist editions? Do you personally own any? Do you want to?
Does he try to sell us some?
Well, those that don't know, artist editions are the big, giant, oversized hardcovers that a lot of companies have been putting out recently. Started with IDW, I believe, where they take the actual artwork for comics. They don't always have everything, but they take the artwork and scan it as is. So it's not cleaned up, not inked, not penciled, or not colored. If there's a word balloon that's taped on, you see the tape. I mean, you see every it's basically having a life-size replica of the original art as is. I don't actually own any. There's a lot that I want, but again, when you go back to the art thing, I like art books, and then I do nothing with them.
Yeah.
So I have no real interest. There's definitely something that's super cool, but what would I do with it? We carry them at the store. We kind of stopped getting new ones, though. We were selling them pretty regularly, but it's dried up. It's
pricey.
Very expensive. $150 plus per
and
book.
It's like, where the F do you put that huge
they're
thing?
huge. So
Yeah.
Charlie, too big for even you?
Well, it goes back to what you were saying is there's a couple of them that I kind of thought, that is kind of neat, and I could see getting those. Like, didn't they do the first 2 Bone books that way, maybe?
Probably.
But again, it's one of those things where I'm really tempted by some of the Kirby ones they've put out and that kind of stuff. But in general, I'd rather have the big collections, like the king-size Kirby I got.
Yeah.
Like that's more my style of a book to appreciate the art in.
Agree. Donald, he asks, what titles starting off with
this isn't Trump, right?
No, but there's a Trump question next.
Oh, let's get to it.
With titles starting off with a Rebirth issue before number 1, how do you think that will affect sales? I'm going to go with Charlie. I'm going to think it's like 2 number 1 issues.
Yeah.
I think that's, if the Rebirth issue is promoted well, I think those will sell really well, and the number 1 should hopefully sell very well. Yeah. Also, I don't know.
Well, I think it's kind of I think it's a good test for getting into a title, because people will, if you have like Rebirth on a title, and then all of a sudden people are like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" It might bump orders down the road for something because a little bit more early. It's basically a 0 issue.
So,
all right,
they're not going to do it. I know they're not going to do it, but I really wish that they would do the most I would want them to charge for the Rebirth issues would be $2.99. I would love them to go with like a slightly lower price point for the Rebirth issues. Yeah, if they could do $1.99 on all the Rebirth issues to get people to pick up the books, give them a chance, and then decide which ones they want to pick up the following month, I think that would be huge. That would be completely and totally noteworthy, and I think you'd see higher numbers in the shop in terms of orders by far. Because
now, would it be okay if it was $2.99 with a digital code?
I think $2.99 kind of comes across as affordable these days. Mm-hmm. So I don't think $2.99 is outside of the realm of possibilities, but I think $1.99 would get a lot of people buying each of them just because.
Well, I mean, it's
grabbing 10 books for $20 is
instead of like the 4 you get now.
Yeah.
It's from Michael. He asks thoughts on Marvel CEO and his $1 million donation to Donald Trump. Ike Perlmutter, who's the head of Marvel and one of Disney's biggest shareholders,
who's a recluse,
he's a total recluse.
I just imagine him peeing in mason jars.
I don't think it's quite like that, but he donated a big amount of money to Trump's campaign for his kind of his party that went against the more recent GOP debate. Whatever, shocking. Rich white guy donates to the Republicans. It'd be more shocking if you donated to a Democrat, I guess.
Well, I just find it funny that
it doesn't bother me.
He's the head of Marvel, and he's sinking that much money into a ship that's going to fucking tank. And yet he doesn't want to hire any good talent.
Well, he doesn't pay the talent. He gets paid to run Marvel. He doesn't pay the talent.
Is he really running Marvel, though?
I think he donated. Well, no, not really. I think he also donated $2 million to Marco Rubio, I believe. I'd have to look that up. But it's politics. That's what happens. So
are we saying Marvel is Republican?
What I'm saying is boycott all Marvel comics. That's exactly what I'm telling you. No,
Bryce just had an aneurysm.
Here's the thing. I saw people commenting on this. Oh, I'm going to boycott Marvel comics. Oh, I'm not going to go see the Marvel movies. Okay, first of all, if you boycott the Marvel comics, the only people that'll be hurt are the people that create the comic books, because potentially they will lose their jobs. Ike Perlmutter's not going anywhere. Disney's not going anywhere. Shareholders don't care. Yeah. Your $4 a month will affect only the people that write and draw the comics. Same deal with not going to see the movies. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't give a shit if you go see his movie or not, because most people don't care at all. However, the potential for people to lose their jobs that are the stagehands, the small level people. Those are the people that lose their jobs, not Robert Downey Jr. So if you don't like Ike Perlmutter, it's
find him, take a picture of him, and blast it on social media. Put it on the internet.
That would do more harm than not buying Spider-Man. Yeah. This is from Talon, asks, if you could each be in charge of Marvel or DC, how would you guys handle relaunches, and would you do the reboots at all? And I mean, I feel like we've talked about this a bunch, but, I think if a character's not working and you want to put it off to the side and you want to come back down the road with a solid idea to relaunch it, that's cool. Relaunching everything kind of within a 1 or 2 month or 3 or 4 month period like Marvel, it gets a lot of eyes, but...
Well, those numbers drop fast.
Yeah, very fast. And you also have to have now 52 teams ready to go at the same time, instead of really cultivating and finding that good pitch, that good team. It feels very reactionary instead of actually trying to grow the industry. Would I do it? Not the way they're doing it. I understand. Once, sure. New 52 was a great idea once. We will now have 5 of these in 5 years. 3 from Marvel, 2 from DC. That's a bit much. So, would you do the same? Anything different? New number 1 every month?
No, I mean, the reality is, as you have already kind of said, it's all about the talent and the strength of the line. If you really feel like the books have gotten stale and you want to shuffle some creative teams and plan it out well and relaunch with new number 1s, I don't really have a problem with that. But I do kind of feel like a large thing that kind of bothers me is John's left Green Lantern. Green Lantern sharply dropped in terms of sales. I don't feel like they have really tried to figure out if they can correct that. They're just kind of like, well, we made a choice to go with this team. We're going with this team. This is going to be his run now,
but you have 8 creative teams on fucking Suicide Squad in 40 issues. Why not?
But that's where my mentality kind of comes in. Is I think, okay, let's get into the general example that I really tend to go to. There's a lot of people when they first take on a job that get really, really invested and they love everything about it, then they get burnt out and they don't really, as long as the ship's moving, it's moving. I don't know how much of that's going on sort of behind the scenes at Marvel or DC, but it's like, I kind of translate a lot of the success that Johns has had for the characters. He still has all that sort of gusto and passion and wants to see all these characters do well. I don't know how much that is with I've interacted with Johns enough to tell that about him and sort of read a lot of the stuff that he said and that kind of thing. I don't know how strongly other people feel about some of these characters because I don't really understand how Green Lantern's at the point he is now and the whole we're going to change up Superman and I'm all for trying something new, but I would be very, very close to the look. People aren't reacting to this very well. We've given it a couple issues. We can't tarnish the brand for these characters like this long term.
I think the problem is the creator doesn't come to editorial and say, hey, I've got this great idea to change Hal Jordan. Editorial goes to the creator and says, change Hal Jordan. You have 3 weeks.
Yeah. But that's where, to me, Green Lantern's brand got really well built up and is now, it's nowhere near the levels it was pre-Johns, mind you. So the brand has not died because of this. But I feel like when you kind of build up a brand and you get something to a certain level, you may have to accept the fact that it's going to drop some when that creative team leaves it. But there's a big difference between a acceptable level of drop and it's leveled off, not quite as low as it used to be, but it's also nowhere near the numbers it was pulling in prior. And there's tons of examples of good sort of transitions, with the Azarella Wonder Woman to the current team. I thought was a good transition. It's working. when Johns left Flash. Again, well, when he left Flash right after Flashpoint. I mean, not prior. But even then, when you go into that, when he was writing Wally, left Wally, and then came back to Wally because the new team wasn't really working. I'm sort of perfectly fine with that because it was sort of like this idea of, okay, the brand is starting to suffer again. We need to correct this. And then he did the transition again, and he got another good person to take it over.
This seems to work better.
I don't like the sort of current day of when the brands, like, I'm not using Batgirl as an example because that was a shift. It's been successful for what it is. It's being well received with a different audience. That's all fine with me. But it hurts me as a fan, and I don't really understand the disconnect within the companies to see some of these brands really, really suffer between these kind of shifts.
Well, it's funny because I've looked at the sales of Batgirl, and it's actually pretty low. It's like lower than 100 on the sales charts, which is pretty low. That used to be cancellation territory, not so much anymore. But but I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think for me, I mean, I think it's just about focusing on like Charlie was saying, get the solid creative teams in there, get people who are passionate about these characters, right? Which I think DC is kind of trying to do with their whole classes that Scott Snyder's doing with trying to be like, we need to have kind of a way for people to get in here, a way for people to come in, because I mean, if you look at what came out of the first wave of comic book readers that were now old enough and professional enough to actually write these comics, right? I mean, we got some great stories out of that era of comic books because these were people that were passionate about the characters that they grew up reading. Same thing happens with Johns. Johns loved all these characters growing up, and now he's writing all these characters, and he's giving us the passion and showing us how much Green Lantern matters, how much like Booster Gold is an amazing. It's just like there's this when a creator is passionate about something, it transfers over into the art, it transfers over into the writing. It really it comes out and it elevates the product. Marvel, I would do away with their goddamn variants fucking thing. First off, I cut
They sell though. That's the problem.
I would cut that shit. I would be like, I don't care. You're going to 50-50s and reasonable shit.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between cutting them and... So, as a shop owner, Ryan can kind of attest to this. If people are buying them, you're not going to stop doing it if it's good for business. Like
no. Like, I'm not saying cut variant covers completely. I'm saying cut the way they do variant covers, which is you have to order 130% of this random fucking title as before. It's get back to the standard. All right, we got 1 in 25s, 1 in 50s, 1 in 100s, 1 in 200s.
I would definitely play around with the format.
Yeah,
but in general, it's one of those things of, if the numbers told me this is the best, most financial way to do it, as a business owner, I probably would.
Yeah, but I mean,
that route. It's just,
we don't really. The only reason we have that is that really something that is substantial? Mm-hmm. I mean, don't you see? I mean, it flounders all the time.
Yeah, but so
Marvel can't even revive Wolverine.
The funny part to me about like the variant covers is the way Marvel does it. They're not making extra money off the 1 in 100 cover that sells, except for the fact that it causes places to order more copies of the book. If they've done the numbers, and I'm not saying they have, but if they've done the numbers and realized, okay, if we made this is a standard cover, you could order as many as you want of this other cover, and they found that sells less books than doing the 1 in 100 sketch cover, then I don't really blame them for, like, I agree the 100 and you have to exceed it by 30% is crazy. If anything,
well, I think they've run the numbers for that because it's random fucking books. Yeah. Like, I think they're constantly running the numbers for that, and that's why you get these random titles that you have to order, because those are the title that's like the computer spitting out saying you need to order based off of.
Well, what I would do, honestly, if I was looking at that, is I would not necessarily do the 130% or whatnot, but I would look into doing what can we do in terms of variant covers that will help people hit those higher numbers to get the really rare variant. Because having one cover that a store has to order 150 copies of that one cover to hit that variant.
It's never like, all your variants count towards these ratios. It's the main cover only. Yeah. So when I order 50 copies of a hip-hop cover, I don't get 1 in 10 variants based on that, and that's some bullshit.
And that's my point. I would totally tweak some of that stuff around just to kind of be like, look, we want as many stores as possible not to suffer by trying to hit this variant.
Yeah. Now, I know the only thing that you do get is if you do a store-exclusive cover. So if we do our own variant cover, you get all the incentives that go along with that. So that's why DC could do like the 1 in 5,000 variant cover, because you're getting 10 of the 1 in 500 Jim Lee sketch covers along with that, with the one of original.
Are you going to do it now?
No.
Just checking.
No, that was only for the number 1. All right, one last question. Then we got some Patreon people. I'm like fucking falling asleep here. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, it is a long day.
Charlie, why are you going to be so boring?
No, it's not you guys. I'm normally like all peppy for the podcast, but I'm just not. I need Starbucks.
Peppy Le Pew, maybe.
I need some Starbucks on the way home or something here. Peter Blanco, one of our new top tier Patreon backers. Thank you, Peter.
Welcome, Peter.
Asks,
thank you.
Does disagreeing? Well, this guy's been following forever, so. Does disagreeing fundamentally with a creator on social media affect your enjoyment of his or her body of work, i.e. a certain wall-crawling writer's constant trolling of a certain movie? My good friend Dan Slott, I've never met the man, so I shouldn't say that. Dan Slott hates Man of Steel with fiery passion and loves to troll and talk about it all the time, and he's very responsive to people. So I made some comment. I was like, just don't engage Dan Slott. Don't even say a word to him. And he replied back to me. He's like, wise man. So sometimes I can ignore it. Sometimes I can't. There are people that I really like where I've been like, ooh, and block you. I don't ever want to hear you talk again. You're fucking terrible.
I think Peter wants the names of these people.
Some people I like their work. I disagree with them on political agendas, which is, to me, look, if you hate Man of Steel, you hate Man of Steel. That's one thing. When you're vastly different political, that's actually, to me, real shit. So I have a harder time putting up with that stuff. I can enjoy your work. I just don't follow you or want to know your politics.
Yeah.
So to me, all it really comes down to is I gotta keep sort of mentally separate person from body of work.
Separated.
Because I mean, there's literally shows I could probably not watch.
Sorry, continue, Charlie.
There are literally shows I probably could not watch if I cared so much about a particular actor's opinions on certain things. And I mean, I just keep it separate. I can kind of go, I do not agree with this person's politics or what this person does in his personal life.
Sure.
But
I can think of a prime example of an actor. Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to watch it. It's good to watch him on screen, but I don't want to talk to him.
That guy's like baddie. That guy's like an extreme example.
But that's sort of my point. Is it's like in general, I keep that stuff separate.
Sure.
Except when it comes to Mark Millar.
Do you follow Mark Millar on Twitter?
I don't follow him. Do you?
No, hell, I blocked him. Fuck that guy. All right, we have to thank
Ryan has this little kid grin on his face. It's so awesome.
We've got to thank some people here. It's Patreon time, so we want to thank.
Don't ever use that fucking intro again for Patreon.
Hey, I enjoyed that intro for Patreon.
You have issues. You're tired too.
Our lovely top tier backers like Albert Soy and his app Plant Everywhere on.
Thank you, Albert.
The iTunes App Store.
When's the Android version coming out? Every episode until it's out. I will say that.
I've been led into the real inner circle with Albert, so I know some shit. Okay, good stuff's coming. Jody Lawson.
Thanks,
Cannon,
Jody.
The Triad Comics Anthology at TriadComicStudios.com. And we have two other new top tier backers here. We have John Nesmith, who wants to plug what I believe to be one of the most amazing podcasts ever. It's called Drinking with Batman at drinkingwithbatman.libsyn.com. You can find it on iTunes. Now, the pitch for this is, and he sent me a great email saying that he's a longtime listener to this podcast and was inspired by this podcast based on comments we've made here, where myself and I think you guys have made comments of no one's read Action Comics #1 to current. So he is reading Batman #1 to current.
Oh, Jesus.
And every episode is a new issue of him reading. He starts with Detective 27.
Very awesome.
And
I can kind of relate.
And it's going forward. I really want to see how far this goes. Now, if you remember Tom vs. the Flash or Tom vs. Aquaman or Tom vs. the Justice League.
You used to listen to these.
Yeah. I don't think he does them anymore. I listened to Aquaman for a while, but I kind of burned out. Justice League and Flash were fantastic.
But he never finished them.
No, he did.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he started as a blog, and then he transitioned to a podcast with Justice League. Then he did all Flash, and then he did Aquaman. And the Aquaman one just didn't click quite as well. 'Cause the stories are just kind of bad.
Come on, it's Aquaman on a fucking large seahorse and fucking green.
Yeah, it's kind of
in a yellow top.
Yeah, so I don't know. I
can
gotta look in to see what he's doing. I don't know. He may have moved on to other stuff.
Well, any event, thank you, John.
Yeah, so this is a similar sort of idea, except he's drinking with Batman. He drinks and then talks about the Batman comic he just read. So
you'd have to drink.
Hopefully, you're
to be able to get through all that stuff.
Hopefully, you don't spill your beer on your Detective Comics 27 because that would be disappointing.
I think you got a reprint.
We also must thank some of our
digital store.
Top tier backers. They have nothing to promote. They're just big fans of the podcast, and that is Manoa Place and the aforementioned Peter X Blanco. Thank you guys very, very much.
Give us something to plug. We like plugging
for all
stuff.
your donations every month. You guys help pay for our pizza, pay for our hosting. You guys help pay for these guys to get some comics to read that we could talk about on this podcast, on this comic podcast. We also have to thank our great friends that have also donated here. Once a month, these guys get a little shout out, so let's get to it. Mark Long, Edgar Moreno, Kevin Nguyen, Christopher Stone, Wesley Thon, Mike Campbell, David Safar. If you guys don't know, but there's going to be music behind all this. Christopher Noyes.
What?
Eric Kovacs. Yeah, I put some X-Men music in the last episode. It was fun. I'm going to keep doing that. Joshua Redding, Alex McHale, Sam Shea. I'm totally not ripping off the comedy button either. Joel Jimenez, Armando Testani, Ivan Leskanik, Chris Palanki, Aaron Wright, Jason Thomas, Ocularis. He's back.
Hey,
yeah. Matthew Schnapp, Santiago Mendez, Sloan. Our good friend,
really wish it was Sloan from Entourage.
Our good friend Peter Parker, Father Dante, Don Kilson, John G, and Dennis Jensen. Thank you guys all very, very, very much. And every other person that donated to us at Patreon.
And you all have the best names.
Yes, patreon.com/
we got a good list of names there.
Comic Conspiracy. That's where you can go to donate some money for us.
I like how diverse it is. It's not like Smith, Johnson, Lee.
There's some of those.
Win.
And we are done.
Thomas.
Brock was helping me file the subscribers earlier today, and there's definitely a lot of that. Geekbox.net and iTunes. That's where you can go listen to all our previous episodes. Forums.geekbox.net.
245 of them.
And the Geekbox and Comic Conspiracy Facebook group on Facebook. Go check those out. Talk to us on there. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That's where you can go and find all your wonderful digital comics that you can buy through us. Again, that patreon.com/comic-conspiracy. Conspiratobrock.com, that's Brock's blog, and Video Pull is going to start back up tonight.
I had to stop last week because the books were late.
Yeah.
And I had already had plans to get new bookcases put up in my apartment, in my bedroom, in the room. So I'm going to have a nice backdrop.
I'm excited to have you tell me how many books you're behind on reading tonight. So I'll definitely check in.
Hey, how many are you behind on? Yeah, shut your face.
Everything but Justice League. Conspiratobrock.com, Infinite Longbox Podcast, and the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension Podcast. That's Charlie's two other podcasts about comic books and Doctor Who.
Charlie, this is shit you do.
And my wonderful wife, Leanne, her art is all up at etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. Make sure you go on there.
Is she doing a Deadpool?
Is she doing a Deadpool? I don't think so.
You should tell her to do a Deadpool for the movie. Seriously? She should be doing like a Deadpool movie.
Ryan Reynolds, if you're listening to this podcast, and because we know you're going to be in Santa Clara for Super Bowl 50, so stop on by the shop.
What shop?
Comics Conspiracy, 115-A East Fremont Avenue, Sunnyvale, California, 94087.
Bring your smooth criminals.
Bring the Chimichanga Mobile and park it outside. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, that's me. I'm on Twitter. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce Larson is Larson Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. The Geekbox Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, and I'll Talk Podcast, or the other little podcasts on our network. Go make sure you listen to those as well. And yeah.
Nick Spencer, blue and gold. Nick Spencer, blue and gold.
That's it. Go football.